I'm your host, John Tobacco. I've been walking these streets through the caverns of Wall Street, pounding the pavement for 25 years. This is Federal Hall. The capital of capitalism is right behind me. This is where the politics meets the economy, and we're gonna bring it all to you here on What's the Deal. We're bringing you real experts with real understanding, not talking heads, not guys who manage their mommy and daddy's money. Dan Viola is the founder of the Blockchain Shift Conference. We'll be the only show on television that every week has one whole segment based on cryptocurrency.
The Safe is an app that lets you show your verified STD status privately on your phone.
Are stocks going to fall? Are people going to continue to shred apart their Nike items?
In my house, like this house, we protect our house. So I'm an Under Armour guy.
What's the deal?
Free donuts for everyone.
Great!
What's the deal? What was Jackie Gleason's opening line on his show? What did he used to say? How sweet it is! You're tuned in to What's the Deal on Newsmax TV. I'm your host, John Tobacco. We are going to bring you an enormous amount of information, and every week to follow, we'll do the same, providing you alternative programming to the NFL. We're bringing you real people, not talking heads out of Harvard and Yale. We're talking about people who are in the trenches, people who know where the rubber meets the road. And we're going to be talking about what's the deal on the economy. What's the deal when politics, when it intersects with the economy? What's the deal on cryptocurrency? What is the deal with our global economy? We'll cover all these topics and more every week right here on Newsmax TV, and we are going to be the only show on TV that covers cryptocurrencies and digital assets every single week. People don't understand it yet. People don't get it yet. We're going to break it down. We're going to put it in plain terms so Joe Main Street can start to invest in cryptocurrencies. Joining me today on the panel is Neelam Brar. And Neelam has extensive background, decade or so, in major investment banking and initial public offering, just like the old school. We used to do regular IPOs. And Neelam, thank you for joining us today, and hopefully many more in the weeks to come.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Yes, it is. And also here today, gracing us with his presence, is Dan Viola, who is a man of many talents. But he is a partner in Sadis & Goldberg, one of the most preeminent securities law and general law firms here in New York City. And Dan is the founder of the Blockchain Shift Conference going on October 10th to 13th down in Miami. And Dan, thanks for joining us also.
John, thanks for having me. Definitely happy to be here with you.
So also on the board today is our intrepid executive producer, Frank Morano. And,
intrepid indeed. Thank you, John. Pleasure to be here.
Always there running the show, making sure we stay on target, on time. And Frank, to start off today, I want to kind of just do a crypto for dummies. And I'm not saying our audience.
Yes, I'm representing all the dummies in the audience.
We are
Happily.
using you today as our crash dummy, okay? And Dan, Neelam, why don't you give our audience a little background on what you've seen emerging with cryptos, and then let's talk about it, and let's try to keep it, we're all around it, but there's people who just don't get it yet. So let's try to talk to your grandma or something.
So I'll start out. If I was speaking to my grandma, the first thing I'd say about crypto is it's a form of, at a very basic level, one use case is a form of money transfer between two entities without an intermediary. And Bitcoin is a great example of that. I've lived abroad when I was doing banking on the ground in Hong Kong, Singapore, Mumbai. And one of the things you started noticing as a parallel in the telecom industry was every time you went to a new country, you needed a new SIM card. And you saw WhatsApp emerge and solve that. So you could just have a WhatsApp on your phone, and you could suddenly communicate with everybody without changing your SIM card. Bitcoin allows you to do that. You don't have to change your currency when you go to every country. You can actually swap value with one another.
And Dan, you are touching base with experts and leaders. You're a former SEC examiner, so you know where the securities regulators are coming from, and you know where the innovators and the entrepreneurs are coming from also. Give me a basic rundown of what you've seen happen with blockchain and crypto in the last 4 years.
Yeah, sure, John. So, when we started the practice. We were first introduced to Bitcoin by clients that said we want to start a Bitcoin fund. And we're sort of, experts in the private placement business, and we can build a private placement around any type of offering. So it was up to us to kind of learn, what a Bitcoin was, what the blockchain was, the underlying technology of cryptocurrencies. And then we set out to really understand the regulatory requirements, both from the SEC and the CFTC. So 4 years later, we have a digital asset practice. We have a number of crypto funds. We have a number of broker-dealers that are trying to raise money for these crypto funds, and also
Danny,
ICOs.
what are the biggest challenges facing institutional funds and institutional buyers? What are the biggest challenges you see out there?
Basically, the perception of the cryptocurrency and the understanding of blockchain and how it might impact an organization. And I think that there has to be a certain amount of institutional acceptance or adoption of the different types of programs and products that you can benefit from with blockchain. So if you're in an institutional platform or working for a large company, you probably have heard the term blockchain, and there are actually committees at these large firms that are trying to understand how blockchain can make their companies more efficient. So some of the challenges, you're going to want to basically be able to have liquidity. You're going to be able, a lot of these assets are hard assets are being tokenized, and that creates another level of acceptance and ability to trade an asset that where maybe you had a lot of illiquidity before. So there's a big opportunity there.
Let's go to our a panel of dummies.
Yes.
Frank, as our lone crypto participant today, layman, what did you get out of those two presentations?
Well, no. I learned a great deal about what crypto is and blockchain specifically. I'm still a bit skeptical, though. A lot of people that are very well respected, Nouriel Roubini, for instance, they've called cryptocurrency the biggest bubble in history. 5 years ago, he and others were saying that it's BS and only attracts suckers. So what can you say to reassure people that see respected economists who predicted things like the global financial crisis saying, hey, stay away from this. This is either a scam or something that appeals to suckers?
I think the first thing to note is cryptocurrency is a use case of the blockchain. The technology is real, and it is actually going to solve problems. And so whether or not a particular cryptocurrency has the wrong actors in it or bad intentions or motives doesn't mean the entire technology is bad. So it's important that if you're interested in this space, you get really smart in this space and you figure out who's behind each project. Number two, there is actually a lot of need for disintermediation, and currencies being the first use case is the reason. I mean, many countries and citizens have woken up and seen their currencies depreciate in value overnight.
Turkey, look at Turkey.
There you go. Yeah. So if you were holding Bitcoin, we're not saying Bitcoin's the most stable right now either, but it's a global currency. It's the first of its kind, and we will see more of these emerge.
One point for our audience watching at home, if you're just starting to learn about cryptocurrencies, one thing that I think fundamentally people need to understand is cryptocurrencies and blockchain are two separate things. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Stellar, hundreds of other cryptocurrencies are all use cases for the underlying technology, blockchain. Is that kind of simple?
And my other question, one of the things that you always hear about a variety of cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, is that it's not backed by anything. And now John always says, well, neither is the U.S. dollar. But, I mean, well, that's certainly true. It is backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government.
Which is in debt for $3 trillion.
More than that. 20 trillion.
The full faith and credit of a broke nation.
But so who's there to make sure my Bitcoin is honored as a virtual currency?
So that's one of the benefits of the currency, Frank, is that it can't be manipulated. It can't be altered. The people that are transacting with you are part of a community, and you have to basically be on your honor with each other. And the blockchain, which is just a distributed ledger, will allow you to track each transaction, and it can't be amended or altered. So you have a trail. So for some people say, oh my gosh, these cryptocurrencies are the money laundering dream of somebody who wants to launder money. Not so. It's actually the U.S. dollar that carries more risk with money laundering. It's not the cryptocurrencies. And I think the other thing to point out, Frank, is that a lot of people in the 90s were very afraid of the internet. Everybody ignored the internet. I think blockchain is too big to ignore.
I was pissed off when emails came around. I gotta be honest with you. I was pissed off about it. Like, I had to start writing emails and typing again. This is crazy.
Right. How do you pronounce that A with the circle around it? What is that exactly?
Yeah, exactly. What is that? Ampersand.
Yeah, right. Why are people calling periods dots all of a sudden? Yeah.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, one of the points that I've been saying for a while, I am a wildly free market capitalist, and I've pretty much hated regulation my entire life. But what we need is more regulation and more clarity in the regulations, and that'll bring people closer to feeling like they're not out in the wild, wild west. You know what I mean? I don't love regulation, but at least if the lawmakers say, here's how it goes, here are the rules, then more people, I think, will feel a little more comfortable coming into it. We're taping a TV show. They want to get a shot of me like buying a hot dog from you guys.
How much will be How much you pay?
What? How much is a hot dog?
Not only the hot dog, we're gonna be at the show. So
No, you don't get paid to go on. These guys want to know how much I'm going to pay them for a hot dog. I said $2. These are my streets, right?
he's very popular. He knows everybody around here. He's a good man.
And that's where I get my ties, right here. See that guy over there waving his hands? Start taping him. He's my good friend. He's one of the most legendary traders in New York Stock Exchange history, Robert Arciero. Us! What's up? As I keep saying, I've been walking these streets for 25 years, pounding the pavements. I know what's going on in the back rooms. I know what's going on in the boardrooms. And we just walk down the street here, and we find people that are the real deal. We just happened to run into legendary New York Stock Exchange floor broker and trader, Robert Arciero, one of the finest men of all the men and women in that New York Stock Exchange right behind us. Rob, thanks for allowing me to capture you in front of the exchange. You're the best. So, Bobby, anything good going on there? Market's inching up on 27,000 right now as we speak. People were saying Trump's economy is going to be a failure, debt, interest rates are going up, tariffs. And how is it in there?
Obviously, the money is not believing what the media is saying.
Right.
And everything's been, spirits have been good. Exchange has been under a lot of attack with, using machines and dark pools and this and that. But we're still here. Numbers are a little smaller. But everybody still likes to talk to a human being. And, machines go bad.
That makes sense.
Machines go bad. You can't yell at a machine, but you can yell at somebody that's you can yell at somebody that's watching your order.
Right. I've said this, many times on television and other media. In the American economy, there's one thing you can always count on for stability, and that's the New York Stock Exchange. Okay, because when the computers go haywire, there's trained professionals down there who don't panic. We have human redundancy, and these guys, no matter what happens, keep our economy rolling. Bobby, thank you for allowing me to annoy you.
Mr. Tobacco, I want to say one more thing. I think everybody's got to remember one thing that this place behind us lived on is your word is your bond. And I think that adults are getting away from that. I think we need to bring that back in every aspect of life. Your word is your bond.
Well, not only do we get a little trading, we get a little philosophical commentary as well. My good friend, legendary New York Stock Exchange trader, Bobby Arciero, you're watching What's the Deal?
That gives people now an inside look. That shows that you actually
credibility. Here's the guy walking out of the exchange, Johnny T. On Newsmax TV and What's the Deal, we want to create an environment for a discussion, for a conversation. People have different ideas, but everyone's yelling at each other these days. And all the information gets caught in the middle in the noise. We want to have conversations and we want to create a dialogue. Many times these days, politics intersects with business and the economy and Trump's policies and other things all come together in the same place. We're going to tell it like it is, like many of the other news channels out there don't do. And tonight, we have an esteemed panel with us for our first show ever. I want to welcome former 6th-term congressman from Staten Island and my partner and co-host on Table Talk right here on Newsmax TV, Congressman Vito Fossella. Vito, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. And also we have Mona Salama, my friend, and we met at an unbelievable time at the Republican National Convention. We were both covering the convention, Mona, and we were both had unconventional ideas, but here we stand today. She was with PolitiChicks
at that time.
Back then. She's also the managing editor and founder of MonaSalama.com. Thank you, Mona. Thanks for giving us a few minutes. And joining us tonight as our token Democrat, because we want to have a dialogue. I'm Reform Party. Vito's a Republican. Mona's Libertarian. And Peter Gleason, famed New York attorney, certainly an extraordinary fellow, and he's been in the news and been one of the lead attorneys on many cases that you've probably heard about, even the hockey mom case, right? And Peter, thank you for joining us in a hostile, undemocratic environment. And, you know, Pete, I always like to say that, you know, Republicans, Democrats, red, blue, most people that we know are not everything red and everything blue, and more people kind of fit to the middle. And I feel like most of America are purple people, because people have some reds and some blues in there. Where do you come down on some of this stuff? Are you just a straight down the line Democrat?
No, I don't think anybody is. And I think, you know, people need to decide whether they want to be an eagle and soar alone with their own convictions, their own beliefs, or if they want to be a pigeon. And every political party grabs a hold of these pigeons to say, come into our flock and we'll take care of you. Well, that's the wrong way to live today. Today, we all have to be independently thinking, independently minded individuals. I don't need a group, I don't need an elected official telling me how to think about a certain matter.
Got it.
Unfortunately in America, the system is set up so people are 2 paychecks away from bankruptcy. So either you have the time or the money. And somebody with both time and money is a very dangerous person to the establishment.
Like Donald Trump.
Well, he really mucked it up now, didn't he?
So I'm trying to create an appeal to the purple people.
Yeah.
I may challenge you today to make a purple pillow.
That's it.
Really rolling now? Hi, my name is Mary Papuyo, and I'm going to take you into a look at the Nike campaign with Colin Kaepernick. We're going to look at a few things, maybe the creativity behind it, the goal that they had for it, what Colin's role was in this whole thing, and then the stats for the stocks. Not for Kaepernick, he hasn't done anything since 2016. So in case you've been living under a rock or don't have a phone or access to a computer, I'm going to give you a little idea of what it was. So they took the 2 minutes in length to give you a wide variety of sports. Boxing, surfing. I mean, there was a woman in a wheelchair playing basketball, to LeBron in basketball, Serena in tennis. So the point of all of this was every athlete had a challenge to overcome, and they successfully faced and overcame the challenge. Cut to Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem. There were a lot of events going on at that time in the nation that he didn't agree with, so he used his position in the NFL to take a stance on it. Fast forward, Nike sees an opportunity, right? They think, he took a stance. He has a lot of influence on a lot of the nation, especially the 18 to 29-year-old male that Nike wants to target. When the commercial first hit the airways, the market price fell about 3%. Today, Nike's market cap is at $135 billion. $100 billion more than Adidas and almost $120 billion more than their other competitor, Under Armour. So, is this going to be a continuous streak? Are they going to keep rising? Are stocks going to fall? Are people going to continue to burn up and shred apart their Nike items? I can't tell you that, but that is for John and the desk to decide. So what's the deal?
We have a company that's one of the iconic brands in America, and they've decided we're going to take a guy who's most well known for kneeling during the national anthem, and we're going to make him the face of our new campaign. Forget Michael Jordan, forget Tiger Woods, forget all these other people that would have been probably better. Forget Forrest Gump. He did a hell of a lot for Nike as well. Vito, Nike chooses Colin Kaepernick and basically gives the finger to 50% of the consumers in America. What do you think about that?
You know, they made a free market guy. They made a business decision that they thought would serve their company, their shareholders, their potential customers. I think ultimately the market will decide whether it was the right move for them from a business point of view. Interesting play. Clearly, it caused a big rift, national dialogue, the president jumping in and facilitating it. But I think there was a good chunk of America who felt that really in this day and age, in 2018, opportunities are limitless here. People come from all over the world to seek opportunity here, to find a better life. And here's somebody who's saying basically, this country's no good. I mean, that was a message. Whether that was his intent, I don't, couldn't know, don't know the man. But a lot of folks who, particularly those who served this country with honor, who died for this country, their families, you sort of ask yourself the question of, what if you were somewhere else? Would you still be thinking that the United States was the worst country in the world, that didn't offer that opportunity? But I think with respect to what Nike's doing, it's their show, it's their ball, it's their whatever you want to call it, but the market will decide.
Mona, I went shopping with my son last week for new football cleats. And my 12-year-old son did not want Nikes. He wanted Under Armour. So when the stock market looks at things, it's not like what happens today or tomorrow. It's really a forward-looking vehicle. What's happening in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? I personally think, you know, there's an old adage from the mouths of babes, right? When a little kid, 12 years old, says, I don't want Nike, I want Under Armour. And I happen to like their slogan better, protect this house. You know what I mean? And that's what I think Trump is doing. What do you think, Nike, Under Armour, where do you come down on that?
Well, you raised your son right, but then there's other society, like the urbans and the young millennials, that don't see it your way. So they're gonna that's what Nike is like holding on to. And then they talk about how like Nike's, their stock rose 31% after Labor Day, but that's because of back to school. Everybody's gonna go buy their stuff. So you look at all this stuff, some people are like, you and your son are gonna say, I don't wanna buy Nikes because you know what Colin Kaepernick did. But the others are gonna see it as a social injustice and that like Nike is championing that. So now it's torn between 50-50. It's going back, their stocks are rising right now, but we'll see what happens after black market. If they lower their prices and people are gonna go buy, that's what's gonna help the stock rise. But then let's see with Christmas, are they gonna continue that trend? And then when the stocks rise again and their prices rise again after Christmas, is it gonna still continue?
Recently, a major pension plan decided that they were gonna divest themselves of Nike. And these are public employee retirement systems that invest for teachers and cops and firemen. Is that an indication that regular people, blue collar folks, are going to move away from Nike, in your view?
Well, I think it's an indication that people are talking about this. And when you have members of your union going to whoever oversees your pension fund saying, we don't want to be there anymore, well, then people listen to that. So it's a growing dynamic. It's evolving into who knows what. But at the end of the day, I think those who opposed what Colin Kaepernick did missed a tremendous opportunity by putting a label on it that it's a show of respect to Neil, rather than to say he's disrespecting it. So, and that's what we do in society all the time, because that's what Madison Avenue does. When they put a campaign out, they want to ensure that you purchase their product from the cradle to the crypt. And Americans in particular, can be spoon-fed anything and believe it. So I think those who oppose Colin Kaepernick missed a tremendous opportunity. I think Nike is capitalizing on this, and who knows where it's going to end up. But again, it goes to what's the bottom line of the company.
Well, I guess we'll see that in weeks to come. We'll follow up on this story. But we here on What's the Deal, we're going to do everything we can to make television great again. And we're going to make it so great that at some point you're going to say, John, please stop making this television show so great. I can't take it anymore. I want to thank my esteemed panel, Peter Gleason, Mona Salama, Vito Fasella, for joining us on our premiere episode. I hope you guys will be back with us. Later on in the show, we have the Token Tank with some cryptocurrency and blockchain experts. Welcome back. You're watching What's the Deal on Newsmax TV. We have our panel of experts here today. Neelan Brar is with us and Dan Viola. And stepping into the Token Tank, wading in carefully, it's Lauren Weiniger. Lauren, you're here to tell us about your company, Safe.
Absolutely.
And what you're doing to change the world. So give it a whirl.
So Safe is a blockchain-enabled healthcare company focused initially on the very underserved market of sexual health. Technology and dating apps and social networks have really changed the way we meet, date, and mate. And the unfortunate consequence of automating the dating process is STD rates have reached a new all-time high in the U.S. for the 4th year in a row. The CDC is reporting a public health crisis, and it's disproportionately affecting young people. In fact, 1 in 4 college students today will graduate with a chronic, incurable STD. But that's where Safe comes in. So Safe is an app that lets you show your verified STD status privately on your phone.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you can import your status for free from anywhere. It doesn't matter where you were last tested, doctor, clinic, lab. So you can show your partner and demand transparency as well. It also makes it super easy to get tested. You can book appointments at clinics, doctors, and labs across the country for cheaper than anywhere else. So the app is powered by a powerful blockchain-enabled technology platform that leverages blockchain technology to maximize security and ensure privacy for these patients' very sensitive healthcare data. We plan to issue the Safe coin to pay for healthcare services within the Safe ecosystem, from the doctors to the diagnostic labs to the Safe pharmacy. We say more than an app, Safe is a movement to disrupt the spread of STDs in our lifetime. So you, the patient, should own and have access to your own data, but the incumbent healthcare players, despite taking billions of dollars in incentives, are hoarding that data. So Safe changes that, and it creates an immutable ledger of where, why, when, and by whom patient records were accessed, and it gives patients access to their own data.
I think this is one of the greatest applications, honestly, because I think half of this stuff is bullshit. I think this is one of the best, simplest applications. If you can build the network around it where the coins are spendable. My one question, how much are you raising?
So we've raised $2 million. We're raising the last 1.5 now.
Okay, and is this a security token or a utility token?
Utility. It's a private hyperledger blockchain. Your STDs are not on the blockchain. That information is private. Your results are only shown on your own.
You said your STDs. That's making an assumption that
sexual health status. Your sexual health status is private.
This is amazing. I'm not investing in this company now, I'll tell you that.
No, it's about your own status.
I know,
it's about being accountable,
I think it's fantastic. I think today it's fair game to ask someone to see your, most recent STD checkup. So you don't carry it around in your pocket. You're like, oh, let me take this out here. Right?
Well, and also somebody could alter that and show you something that's not even true.
Oh, you want to be frightened? Google fake STD test results on Google. It's like there are pages and pages of these fake patient portals.
Frank's sweating over there. He's like, oh no, I don't want to leave a comment on that page.
Yeah, so SAFE stands for sexual accountability for everyone. So it's about being accountable for your status, whatever that may be. It's just important for us that we are ending the stigma as well as the spread of STDs in our lifetime.
Yeah, so actually, just to clarify, the capital you're raising right now is for equity in your company, correct?
Correct.
The token will be a utility token distributed to those who are using it.
Correct. So this is a future case. Right now, the app is live. It works. You can download it today. The coin is in the future. It really is acting as an insurance proxy. Healthcare is the last industry where there's no transparency of pricing. So the coin acts within this ecosystem that we've already built, so people can pay for healthcare services instead of being basically price gouged by a system where they have no idea what they're paying for.
I think this is really, really revolutionary and really impressive. And you may meet someone that you may look at their safe status and decide, okay, this is the kind of person it's worth risking an STD to be with. So I think it adds a whole nother element to dating and mating. It's easy to see using the same model being expanded to any number of other applications, blood types, allergies, organs.
Absolutely. This is actually, we see it as a funnel into a much larger healthcare play. And the exact same platform that we've already built that's, again, just hyper-focused right now on sexual health is very, very easy to expand out first to other things within and then and beyond.
What about cybersecurity and breaches? And, how do you protect all that sensitive information?
Yeah, we're really the gold standard of privacy. There's arguably no data that is more sensitive than people's sexual health data. It's because of that we've built this hyper-secure, fully HIPAA compliant platform. That's partly why we're using blockchain. Again, it's not with your data.
Can you search it?
No, absolutely not.
I only want to date girls that have this one or this one.
Absolutely not.
Check a few boxes.
We're integrating with dating apps, but it's a binary. So that badge, anything public, the badge on dating apps, Safe Badge, will only mean that you've been tested recently, and you can prove it in person, which by definition is the only time you're at risk.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Well, give us the website again, please.
It's www.safeapp.me. M-E.
Lauren Weiniger, thank you very much. It's one of the more innovative blockchain applications I've heard of. And we appreciate you coming down. We'll check back in with you, okay?
Thank you.
The coffee hit me. I don't know what was in it.
Where is the coffee?
Right?
The packets out there? Yeah, I just had some. Frankie told me to have some. Frankie Fizz.
It's called Elevate.
Did I tell you you're walking into a show of characters?
You didn't drink the whole thing, the whole pack, did you?
All right, welcome back. Right here in this segment, you're watching What's the Deal on Newsmax TV. And everyone in here drank a cup of this Elevate Smart Coffee. And it gives you your daily dose of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And for me, it's been working wonders because I started drinking this thing 2 months ago and I was dumb as hell. But I'm smart. I'm happy. It's an appetite suppressant. And Frank's also been a participant on the Elevacity Elevate train. And
so we ran out of it a week ago. In the week that I've stopped taking this, gained 3 pounds. So I will tell you, not only was I happier, more energetic with Elevate, but I was a little bit more svelte. And I'm looking forward to enjoying some more now, and I thank you for bringing it in.
I replenished the studio supply today, and let me remind you that we are not making any medical claims. These are simply our own observations. This coffee may do nothing. But everyone in this room is jacked up from drinking it. So let's get to our first guest. Brielle Pearson's here with us today. She is another one of these millennial blockchain crypto specialists, and you're here to talk to us today in our esteemed panel about Essentialize.
Hi, esteemed panel. So yeah, I started Essentialize to get the youth involved in blockchain technology. So how I got involved, I've never invested. I've been in advertising, never even stepped foot in the finance world. But I heard about Bitcoin and I was like, okay, let's give this a try. So I went to a women's meetup group in New York City and I paid $40 for a ticket, and it was a lot for like a meetup. I was like, I could get dinner with this. Mm-hmm. And so I got there, and I didn't understand a word they were saying. They were talking about this coin that they invested in, and I was like, this sounds great. How do you buy Bitcoin? And I was asking the most basic questions because that's what I was there to learn. But I really got into blockchain technology and what it can do and what doors it opens up. And I think that a lot of the youth would love to get involved. There's so many things they can do. They can create content. They can think of ways to decentralize the economy and equal power, and there's so many ways that they can get involved if they were just introduced to it. So I really want to bridge that gap with Essentialize and get speakers in high schools and fund their projects and really make content that's directed to them.
So Essentialize
Yes.
is essentially a foundation
Yes.
that wants to raise money to create awareness, education, and empowerment to young people to get them involved in technologies and blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So I did the breakdown for you.
Yeah.
All right, that's kind of what I do. Dan, I think you're doing something for young kids that maybe you and Brielle can hook up, and that's what this show is about. We're not only asking what's the deal, we're trying to make deals.
Yeah, no, we have some common ground, Brielle. We're also trying to empower students. We want students to come forward and share their thoughts about blockchain and how they see the world. And I think the students can actually educate some of the larger banks and other firms that are operating without this knowledge.
Brielle Pearson joining us on the premiere episode of What's the Deal on Newsmax TV. Thank you for coming into the Token Tank.
Thank
you.
And
hopefully you'll keep us abreast of how things are going, and we'll bring you back.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
All right. Take a quick break. We have another company coming in that's going to give us a little rundown, and we'll get our observations on both to wrap it up. You're watching What's the Deal on Newsmax TV, and we'll be back right after this. We're back in the Token Tank. We're with Sunil Singh. He's the CEO and founder of ServerCube. And apparently, Neelam tells me that ServerCube is a simple way for people to make money at home watching their computer screens.
Something like that, sure. Our technology is to basically distribute small but high-powered computer servers all around the world to households, libraries, churches, museums, things like this. In exchange for running our devices, households in the U.S. can get compensated for part of their electric bill. So that's the model. We take the aggregate computing power of all of our machines and we sell that the same way that Amazon does to lots of other companies that need blockchain as a service, deep learning AI, or VR modeling or gaming. So that's the model basically. Yeah.
So if I have this straight, you aggregate computing power and then you co-op it to people, and then as people use it, they gain some points that get them discounts on their electricity.
Exactly right. That's the whole way that it works. See, if you look at how computing power is distributed right now, it's concentrated in data centers. There's only a few large companies that control a small number of very centralized data centers. The idea behind blockchain is for it to be decentralized. That's the one word that you hear over and over again. And so I've got a little bit of a vision problem. Every time I look at my kid's school or the library, I see a place that's a nice physical structure that can be turned into a very small, tiny computational data center. So that's what we want to do. We basically want to be the Airbnb of data centers this way, turn all of those good locations into places that people get compensated for with their electric to run our devices. That's the model. Yeah.
Got it. Neelam, why don't you use all your best investment banking skills and ask Sunil something difficult?
Something difficult. Well, I mean, I think I'm going to start with something easy. Why do you think this is even necessary? What's the real problem we're solving? Is centralization of data dangerous?
See, blockchain tells you, by definition, you should have decentralized location of your data. That's the whole reason why cryptocurrency works, because it's not stored in one place. Let me ask you a question. How many actual central data centers does Amazon have? And the answer is 15. One of those is dedicated to the Pentagon. So it says that if I have 14 really bad dudes, what could I do? I could find the locations out, which is publicly known, of those data centers, and I could make a lot of problems like that. We think that that model is inherently wrong. Microsoft and Google have less, and so...
Just in case there are any federal agents listening, I want to point out that Sunil has no intention of getting bad dudes and going to the 14 randomly placed Amazon centers. But
that's the point of what I'm trying.
Understood.
Yeah.
And Dan, give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. What do you see?
So you're basically saying that you've created a solution so that if I can turn my home into a profit center. But the people that are keeping that money now are the people that I pay my electricity to?
Right. For tax purposes, it's a lot easier for me to pay part of your electric bill than to pay you directly. So since our device is going to use some electricity, we're actually giving you something over that based on the number of hours you keep our machine running. That's basically it.
I see.
So it's like a rebate instead of income.
Exactly.
So
right.
so you don't have to give everybody a W-2
Or a
with their
1099.
$11 a month
And
or
this
something.
This is the problem that people have with Airbnb now. They all got the shock of their life last year when they got 1099s for 50, 60,000 for rent. In the other pilot markets and also in the U.S. too, we're partnering with solar providers. There we amortize the cost of providing solar. If you think of this model, that's basically making over a period of time a free electric service for us to power a device, and in turn someone gets an amortized solar. They're getting their solar for free this way. So that's another model that we're working with right now as well.
So if you're a business or anybody who needs data services that are cheaper and more safer and faster, you would think about ServerCube.
Yes, low latency, redundant, high compute.
Sunil, did you ever consider hiring her? Because she's pretty good at breaking down what your company does.
I know she's a genius, actually.
She is a genius, right?
She's too expensive for me right now.
Is she, or does she just play one on TV? That's the real question. You know, I'm intrigued by her sometimes too, but does she just play a genius on TV?
I told her we'd come back after a fundraise and then see what happens.
There we go. So let's help these guys get some money.
Fair enough. Sunil Singh, I want to thank you for coming in. Give us your website again.
It's servercube.io.
Check out Mr. Singh's business, his investment opportunity, and we're going to let you go now and talk badly about you.
Thank you, guys.
Nah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much
for being
for
on a
having me
Token Tank. I think all the presentations were great. I thank all those guys for coming down and joining us today. But I'm in favor of the SafeCoin as the best application that I saw today.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think verifying your health records and being able to have them on your phone is extremely important. Having a server at your home generating savings on electricity bills is also important. So we're seeing through these pitches how decentralization can change different aspects of your life. It's not just Bitcoin. But yeah, I think Lauren is far ahead, and I wish her well.
Frankie, give us your observations.
Well, it really made me a lot more optimistic about cryptocurrency in general. The fact that it's attracted 3 people that are so dynamic, so enthusiastic about building something for the ground up. And you made the allusion to the internet earlier, Dan. And I think that's so apropos. And it really is almost like the Wild West in a good way, where you have all these pioneers trying to go out there and build something from nothing. So as someone that doesn't know anything about blockchain or cryptocurrency, I'm eager to see, based on the enthusiasm of the 3 presenters we had today, where this whole sector goes.
I think it's a real land, it's something that a lot of people can utilize and benefit from, the blockchain. And that was evidence today with the 3 pitches. But I would have to give it to Essentialize. I thought that Brielle had a good concept. I think the market share that she's trying to go after is vast, and we have all kinds of students, from every level: high school, college, graduate.
Well, let's not forget, every one of those students may have an STD one day, so we may have to get them together.
I love Lauren's pitch, and Safe is an amazing application and use case. But I'm a little old-fashioned, John. I couldn't really see myself using that app.
Sunil, it seems, came up in 3rd place, but I think Sunil's application was probably a little more technical than we had the time to give him for it. And I want to thank him for getting down here and making the effort. And I want to thank my esteemed panel. Neil, thank you for being here. I know I've been busting your chops for the last couple of weeks, but you were great, and I want to thank you for being here. And Dan, you say you're old-fashioned, but you're humble because you're an innovator. You're a pioneer. You're the founder of the Blockchain Shift conference that everyone's talking about down in Miami. And if you want to know more about Blockchain Shift, go to blockchainshift.io. We're making dreams come true on What's the Deal. I hope today you got some information, you understand a little better what's the deal with cryptocurrency, what's the deal with blockchain. It's only week 1. Thanks for tuning in today. You're watching What's the Deal on Newsmax TV. See you next week.